Shalom, dear friends of City of Life Ministries who stay with us, who know about our ministry here on the Gaza border, who stay with our Kihila, with our congregation, Messianic congregation, and also those who support us financially, who trust us to serve the people of Israel during this time. And today we have an amazing opportunity to host in our tennis studio my dear new friend, our Iranian brother, who now lives in Israel, love Israel, stay with Israel, even helping Tzahal, IDF, Israeli army, and it so touches us when God really turned enemies to be not just friends, brothers, to share the same love and same spiritual inheritance. So, Brother Ramin, I so love to welcome you here in city of Sderot, here on the Gaza border, in the desert of Negev. Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you very much, Brother Michael. It's an honor and pleasure to be here with you, to be in the city of Sderot. I had a heart for Sderot after the war, and I just wanted to come and to bless this city, especially because October 7 was a result of the Iranian regime's support for Hamas. And I just come here to bless Sderot and to pray for this city and to bless it. So it's an honor to be here, truly an honor.
Wow, you are truly Persian Iranian guy.
Yes.
Talking about blessing Israel. What happened to you? I know you was raised as a Muslim, but
Yes.
why Israel? Why you came to Israel and how it happened? Please tell us.
Well, actually, it was a miracle of God, because when I was being raised in Iran as a Shiite Muslim, all my life I was told to hate the Jews, to hate Israel, cursing America, Israel, every day in the school. This was our prayer. They line us up and they made us to chant death to Israel, death to America. And we didn't know why. We never knew why. They told us Israel is occupier, taking the land from the Palestinians, killing the Palestinian children, and all these things. This is like, 30 years ago. But what happened was, I always felt something is not right, even as a child. So when I grew up, I saw so much oppression in Iran. I saw people being executed, beaten, and they told us, well, they deserve it because they are Zionists or spying for Zionists or they're infidels. But then when I was 16 years old, it happened to myself. I was arrested and tortured by the regime in Iran, which consequently made me question Islam, because the regime in Iran basically represents Islam. The word Ayatollah means the sign of Allah.
Wow.
So when I saw how they were mistreating people, oppressing people, everything the regime said that Israel does to Palestinians, the regime were doing it to us. Beating the women, killing children, killing women, starving people, beating people unjustly. So when it happened to myself, I began to question the whole system. I began to question Islam. And my mother said, no, Islam is good. These radicals, these fanatics make it look bad. I said, okay. Then I began to read the Quran and Hadith with translations, because we're Persians, we're not Arabs. And we used to read the Quran. We can read it, but we don't understand it. It's like you can read the Spanish, but you don't understand it. Then I began to, we used to read the Quran and pray, but in Arabic. But this time I began to read in the translation. I wanted to see whether the things the regime in Iran does is according to Islam or contrary to Islam. I wanted to see whether the way Muhammad lived is contrary to the way the Ayatollahs live and the things the Ayatollah do. So I began to read and research and the Hadith and the Quran, and I saw so much evil, both in the Quran and the Hadith. Everything the Hamas on October 7 they did, everything the Ayatollahs in Iran do, exactly what Muhammad did, and exactly what is written in the Quran and the Hadith. So for example, in Surah 551, Muhammad said to Muslims not to be friends with Jews and Christians. In Surah 9:28, he cursed the Jews and Christians. In verse 29 and 30, he commanded his followers to kill those who don't believe in Allah, in his messenger, which is Muhammad, in a religion of truth, they say, which is Islam, in Islam, based on Islam. and don't believe in the Sharia law. They don't do what Muhammad and Allah made unlawful. It says kill them unless they pay jizya. It's a blood money. And I saw in Surah Muhammad verse 4, it says behead the infidels wherever you find them. And in Surah 989, it says that the Jews and Christians are the worst of creatures. And Muhammad actually called the Jews pigs and monkeys. And so when I saw everything the regime was telling us in Iran, everything Hamas did on October 7, everything Hezbollah, Houthis, everything the Saddam Hussein and Arafat and all of these groups, the hatred they have toward Israel and Jews, it's all rooted in Islam. It's before even Israel was created as a nation, recreated or reborn as a nation. The regime in Iran made a missile called Khaybar Shikan. And Khaybar Shikan means breaker of Khaybar. And what is Khaybar? Khaybar was a tribe of Jewish people in Arabia.
Wow.
In Medina. They called Medina also Yathrib. And so Muhammad, when he moved from Mecca, in Mecca he said peaceful things because he didn't have power. But then when he moved to Medina and he formed an army, he became powerful, then he exactly did the opposite and said the opposite, became more violent. So in Medina, he told the Jews, you have three options. You either become Muslim, or we kill you, or you have to pay jizya, which is blood money. So the Jews didn't want to die, they didn't want to become Muslim, so they agreed to pay jizya. But later, they said also, why should we pay even jizya? They refused to pay. So Muhammad said, oh, so you broke the agreement, and he attacked their city, their Mushav, which was called Khaybar, and killed all of the Jews.
Wow.
So 1400 years later, the regime in Iran, the Ayatollahs, built a missile called Khaybar Shikan, which means they are against the Jews. They hate the Jews. And it comes from 1400 years ago when Muhammad started his death cult, we call it. And you see, Yeshua said, know them by their fruits. He said in Matthew chapter 7 that many false prophets will come, many false teachers. And he said, know them by their fruits. Just look at the fruit of Islam in the past 1400 years. And look at the fruit of Islam in the region, from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, Egypt, Gaza. You see all over, the fruit of Islam has been death, destruction, war. And Muhammad did the same thing. In 10 years, Muhammad started 88 wars and raids.
Wow.
In 10 years. So how did he have time to be religious, to worship? He was at war and raiding and stealing, plundering the wealth of the caravans. He robbed caravans. And he claimed to be a prophet when he was 40. And he died when he was 63, 23 years. In 23 years, he started hundreds of wars, raids, plunderings, murder, killing. And one of his wives was named Sophia. And Sophia was a girl that was a Jewish girl. And Muhammad, on the day of his wedding, Muhammad raided her city, her Mushav, and they killed all the Jews, killed her to-be husband, and took her as his own wife.
Wow.
And so we see that Muhammad killed the husband, the father, the brothers, the family, and took the grieving woman as his own wife. And so he was a sexually pervert, he was abuser, he was violent, and all of these are signs of a false prophet. And imagine 1.6 billion people follow this man. And that's why we have problems in the Middle East. All these nations who hate Israel, who want to destroy Israel. They're calling for intifada, they're calling for, from river to the sea. These are not just something against Zionists or against, a state of Israel. It's something completely against the Jews. Even if the Jews give all the land to the Muslims, to Palestinians, and they leave, they will chase them to kill them, even if they go to Africa, if they go to Europe, they will do that. So we see that we have a big problem rooted in this Islamic ideology. And I was a part of that. I was a part of that darkness. Every morning in the school, death to America, death to Israel. They told us the greatest honor in life is to become a jihadist, to go and to kill the Jews and Christians, or to fight infidels. Infidel is anyone who doesn't believe in Allah or Islam.
Wow.
And they said the greatest honor is to kill infidels, and if you get killed, then you go to paradise, and they give you 72 virgins, and there's a river of wine and honey and apples, and everything is forbidden here is promised there. So wine is forbidden here, but it's promised in paradise that you will have wine. So this is how we grew up, in total darkness, with hatred. Then when I was 16 years old, I was arrested and tortured by the government. Now before that, since I was a child until I was 16, I was really diligent. I wanted to serve Allah, to know Him. And in Iran, everything was Islamic. The media, the TV, textbooks, schools, everything was bombarded and saturated in Islamic ideology. Now when I went to, and I saw people being executed in front of my eyes with crane, hanging people. I saw people being beaten.
Why?
They accuse people with all kinds of stuff. For example, let's say they arrest you, God forbid, in Iran, and then they accuse you of you being a spy for Israel. There is no just court or justice to defend yourself. You cannot ask for proof, or they just arrest you, they just label you, and they execute you. And no one can stop them. It happened to myself. When I was 16 years old, I was arrested. I was in a car with some friends. They had some alcohol. I didn't. And there's the Islamic checkpoints, and they arrested me, and because they smelled the alcohol, but I didn't drink. They took us to a confinement. They began to take all our clothes off, burn naked, put cold water on us, and they began to beat us without mercy, with electric cable, with thick cables. They began to beat us, torture us, abuse us. They had us face the wall, sit up, sit down, sit up, sit down, mocking us. And then they threw us into a room, half of this room, maybe this size, 50 people were choking, and no food, no water, no restroom, and we were devastated. Imagine 16 years old. So that began to affect me in a big way. I began to question Islam. And again, my mom said, no, Islam is good. I began to see in the Quran, I saw. And all of that, because of that, I turned away from Islam. So after I turned away from Islam, now there's a void in my heart. I say, if Islam is wrong, which is Muhammad is not his prophet, Allah is not God, then who made me? What am I doing in this world? Who made this whole world? What is the purpose of life? Why do we live 80, 90 years? We work hard, we go to school, all these things, and then you die at the end. You suffer unjustly. And so I was crying out to God, and from 16 to 19, many things happened to me. I lost my father, I lost my school, all my hope was gone, I was depressed, I was broken. I didn't want to live anymore. I was isolated. I began to question life, everything. And I was crying out to God at the same time. I said, God, if you're real, who are you? If you're not real, what am I doing here? And in Islam, Muhammad, almost all prophets, false prophets do that. They attach themselves to the real prophets, to the real God. So Muhammad said, he connected himself to that he's one of the greatest prophets like Abraham, Moses, Noah, Jesus, Yeshua. And so when I said no to Islam, in my mind I said no to all of them. I thought all are the same. So in the depth of desperation and depression and brokenness, one day through a radio, I heard a testimony that somebody was suicidal. As he was going to take his own life, he heard this message, this music. He followed the music, he ended up at the Kihila, and there he became a believer, converted, and his life changed. And this was broadcasting from outside Iran, because it's illegal in Iran. The Bible is illegal, church is illegal, being a Christian is illegal. Converting from Islam to Christianity is punishable by death. I heard all of that. I felt something happen to me, but I didn't make much of it. A week later, through satellite, again broadcasting from outside, I heard again that Yeshua loves me, He died for me, and He rose from the dead. And I said, no, that's a bunch of nonsense. How could God have a son and die for me? And I rejected that. But I was still depressed and hopeless and broken. A week later, I heard again that Yeshua loves me and He died for me and He rose from the dead. And that day I said, okay, Yeshua, if this is true, if you are the Son of God and you died for me and you rose from the dead, I want to see. If you're alive, you will hear my prayer. Now imagine when I was a Muslim, we used to pray, beg, go to mosque, weep, begging, go to the shrines of the imams, asking for help, because we thought these were holy people and they can intercede for us. We were asking dead to help us. And the things would get worse and not better. Not even once we got an answer. So this time, when I heard about Yeshua, I said, okay, if he's alive, if he's not like the dead, he will answer me. And I said, okay, Yeshua, if it's true, come into my life. I want you to show me if you're real. And the moment I say that, a heat went through my hand, a warmth. It went through all my body. I started shaking and crying. And I felt a peace and a love I'd never felt before, a joy. It's like somebody put his hand in my heart and took out all the hatred, anger, bitterness, depression. It's like somebody lifted off a 500-pound of weight or kilo of weight off my shoulders. I just felt light. I felt love toward people. And I was just full of joy and peace, and I was jumping up and down. I went to my mom's house, and my mom was sick for many years. My mom saw the change in me. I prayed for my mother in the name of Yeshua. My mom got healed. She became a believer. She left Islam. She was a very strong Muslim. Then my sisters, one by one, two of my brothers became believers. So this is how my life changed.
Wow.
And after 8 months, I got stabbed in Iran. And I escaped Iran. I was a refugee in Turkey for 2 years. After 2 years of being a refugee, I went to America. I was approved as a refugee, became a citizen in America. And 5 years ago, I met my Israeli wife, is Jewish Israeli. And we got married and we moved to Israel. And right before the war, March of 23, we moved to Israel. And when the war began, I said, what can I do to help Israel? So I began to cook for soldiers, take food to Israeli bases, to military bases. And they were so amazed to see an Iranian who basically Israel is at war with, technically, was coming to feed them and bless them. Because now, the God I believe now is the God of hope and blessing, not cursing. When you read the Bible, it teaches you to bless, not to curse. It teaches you love, that the greatest commandment is love. To forgive, to help, to bless. And this is the fruit that my life changed, a testimony that I used to follow a dark ideology and it led me to death and destruction. Now I follow the God of love and I'm blessing his people. So it's God's will for us to bless Israel. You know, in Numbers 24, it says, when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel. So I know that God wants us to bless Israel. And when I came to Israel, again, I saw the difference, both in America and Israel. In Iran, they told us every day, death to America, to say death to America, death to Israel. In a school, in textbooks, on TV, burning Israeli flag, American flag. When I went to America, I never saw an American say death to Iran or burn the Iranian flag. When I came to Israel, I never saw children on the streets shouting death to Iran or death to even Palestinians. I never seen young people in Israel or shouting death, because the Jews and the Christians, they celebrate life. In fact, when I was in America, I went to Kihila, into church, and I saw people praying for, even for Iran, even for Afghanistan, for countries that technically are enemies. And I saw the difference. And when I read the Bible, I saw that Yeshua says to pray for your enemies and those who hate you. Versus in Islam, that contrast, it says to kill the people who don't believe like you, to murder them, to kill them, to abuse them, and to plunder them. In Islam, allows you to abuse non-Muslims any way you want, to rape them. So basically everything 10 Commandments says, Islam violates them. And you can do it in the name of Allah. So for example, the 10 Commandments says, thou shalt not steal. In Islam, it says you can steal if you do it in the name of Allah from the infidels. So because you're an infidel, if I steal from you, in Islam, that's okay. the Ten Commandments says, thou shalt not murder. But if I murder you because you're not a Muslim, if I murder you, that's okay.
Wow.
So we see that what happened on October 7th was a fruit of this dark hatred and ideology, and those children who have been taught to hate have been taught to celebrate death. You know, when I was a kid, growing up in Iran, they told us the greatest honor in life is to become a shaheed. And shaheed is to become a jihadist, a martyr in Islam. And the word shaheed actually is the word, comes from the word shahed, which means witness. So it's the enemy, the devil, has taken a good, beautiful word and perverted it. So shahed or shahid is a biblical word. Someone who goes to witness about the God of Israel. And on the way of doing it, he might lose his life or persecuted. And that person is shahed, testimony, you know, to testify, to be a shahed. However, in Islam, to be a shaheed is to go kill the Jews and Christians. And if you get killed on the way, then you are a shaheed. But that's not shaheed, that's being a murderer, that's being a terrorist. So we see that how the enemy takes a good thing and turn it into a bad thing. So now I'm a shaheed for the love of God of Israel, for Yeshua. That I'm here, that He changed my life. And I know who I was and what I was and how God changed my life. And He gets all the glory, that He is alive. And Isaiah said that He will be a light to Gentiles. And we were Gentiles. We had no covenant with God. We had no promise. We had no, we were not a part of Commonwealth of Israel. But now through the Mashiach, I've been brought near. And I'm so blessed to be a part of this nation and to be able to contribute, to give back what He did for me, what Israel gave us. Because Israel suffered so much to give us the Messiah for almost 4,000 years, from Abraham until today. The Jews have suffered because they carried the promise of the Messiah and the oracles of God. Someone once profoundly said that the world cannot forgive the Jews for introducing a good God and a God of truth. The world cannot forgive that.
Mm-hmm. Listen, such a powerful testimony, and you know, we may hear or watch such a testimonies like you shared from the screen, but you not so often meet people that they really have changes like you and testimony. We are looking forward for such time when we finally will drink a cup of coffee with Iranians.
Absolutely.
Who love Israel. So thank you.
Thank you
love
very
you, and God bless you. And friends, you know, I think it's such a privilege for us today to pray for, let's say, our enemies. But our real enemy is not the people. How we can see God really loves people. And when they would come to be changed, to be believers, Christians, when finally democracy will come back to this country, they would say us, thank you for your prayers, for your love, and not reject us as a people. So I really ask you to stay with us in the prayers for Iran, for the nation of Iran, in the name of Yeshua. And guys, I really feel in my heart, if some of you would like to support family of Brother Ramin and his ministry, so please, and you would like to send through us, please send us notes. This is for Brother Ramin, and be sure that we will pass out this for him, 100% of it. And let's stay in such incredible time like this for the truth. We love you and bless you. Shalom from the Negev, from the City of Life Ministries, here on the Gaza border in the city of Sderot.